Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to talk about Timberland boots. I'll give you a quick overview of their history, talk about all my favorite pairs, and explain how their love-hate relationship with rap music changed the company's path forever. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started.
Nobody's safe. Soon as we step out the cage, we raising all of this.
We'll kick things off with a quick company history, but before I do, please drop a like and please subscribe if you're feeling any of my content. It's free for you and it would make a big difference for my channel. Thank you, and now back to the kicks. The company that eventually became Timberland was founded all the way back in 1933 in Boston, Massachusetts, and was originally called the Abington Shoe Company. They had some success through the years, but in 1952, the company was purchased by a guy named Nathan Schwartz. Nathan was a Ukrainian immigrant that migrated to the United States when he was young. He was a fourth-generation shoemaker, so he was no stranger to footwear. I'm glossing over a lot of milestones, but in 1969, Abington created the world's first waterproof boot. It was a pretty big deal for them. Then, in 1973, they took their waterproof tech and made a durable work boot called the Timberland boot. Over the next 5 years, the boot became so popular that by 1978, they decided to rename the company from Abington to Timberland. Nathan, however, retired in 1968 and his two sons took over the company. Then, years later, his grandson took the reins. After a long, successful run, the family eventually sold the company in 2011 to VF Corporation for an estimated $2.3 billion US. VF Corporation has been around since 1899. They're known for acquiring apparel and footwear brands. For example, they also own the North Face, Vans, Dickies, Nautica, Eastpak, and JanSport, just to name a few, so it's safe to say they're doing big things. But let's back up for a minute. In the 1980s, Timberland was positioned as a premium construction work boot, and demand started to increase when they randomly started trending in Italy. Along with trending on the Italian fashion scene, they also started popping up at stores like Bergdorf Goodman in New York City. If you never heard of Bergdorf, it's one of the United States' oldest luxury department stores, and it's a pretty big deal if they decide to carry your product. Timberland's marketing team quickly embraced their new status and decided to capitalize on the moment by taking out a full-page ad in The New Yorker. This is not typically a magazine that would advertise a work boot, but money talks. Around this time, they also decided to run the world's first boot commercial on TV. The move paid off and demand for Timberlands exploded in the US, specifically in the New York tri-state area. They saw years of growth, and Timberland eventually became so popular that by the 1990s, they started outselling Jordans and Adidas. Hard to believe, but it's true. This is why most of the athletic brands in the 1990s all started selling their own version of hiking boots. Remember that? It wasn't a coincidence. Sneaker companies saw the demand for boots, and they wanted a piece of the market that Timberland was dominating. But what actually happened in the 1990s that made Timberland triple their sales and beat out Jordan? I don't think anyone would argue that the credit goes to New York and New Jersey hip-hop culture. Most rappers at the time fully adopted the brand, and all the major acts from Mobb Deep to Wu-Tang to Biggie, Nas, and Das EFX, just to name a few, were wearing them and rapping about them in their songs. That's tons of free publicity for the company, and all that free exposure was directly responsible for boosting their sales. That's great, and you would imagine the company would be beyond grateful for all the love, but I remember rumors that despite tripling their sales, they didn't like the idea of being the unofficial shoe of rap music, and some of their executives felt it was lowering the caliber of their brand. There was also some talk of racism among some of their partners. Some of it might have been exaggerated, but I also think there was truth to this. I know how some of these, quote, luxury companies see themselves, and despite boosted sales and free endorsements, they try to distance themselves. I'm looking at you, Cristal. For me, this is frustrating because you should never turn your back on the individuals who not only appreciate your product, but they contribute to your success. Regardless of the rumors, the hip-hop community went all in on Timberlands, and they became the standard all over New York, New Jersey, and pretty much the entire Northeast U.S. With the overwhelming amount of support from the hip-hop world, Timberland did slowly start to recognize the value, and in 2007, they created the Boroughs Project, which called on designers from all 5 boroughs of New York to design their own custom pair. Check them out. That's also around the time when they started releasing boots in crazy colorways. They had basically every color you could imagine, and they released a lot of very questionable styles. I mean, a lot of very questionable styles. But for me, I was never on board with the colored Tims, the patent leather, or the sparkly ones, and I always stuck with a standard pair of tan or brown. For years, I went through different Timberland phases. For a while, I messed with the Chuckers. I also had a couple pairs of the field boots, which were cool. And I had a few pairs of the Euro Hikers. All very chill boots to this day, but the grails for me were always the super tall, dark brown 40 belows. Unfortunately, I never had a chance to own a pair. You might remember seeing Tupac wearing these in the movie Juice. I don't even know if I could pull these off, but they're so fire to me, and I think they're making a comeback. Someday I hope to score a pair, but in the end, the premium 6-inch are the ones I always come back to. They're a clean, classic silhouette that goes well with winter clothes. That said, a lot of Tims out there look very similar at glance, and if you're not careful, you could end up buying the wrong pair. For me, 2 things are absolutely necessary when I cop a pair. Number one, they have to have the double sole. You can see here it's like two soles bonded together, and it's a good look, but not all pairs come like that. Some come with a slimmer sole, and it changes the profile. Number two, they have to have the padded ankle collar. For whatever reason, Timbs without this ankle collar always look kind of weird and naked to me. They just look incomplete. To each their own, but if they don't have these two features, I can't rock with them. I recently donated a bunch of my older pairs, and right now I have 2 pairs left. One of them are kind of cooked, so I use them to shovel snow. My other pair is in good shape, so they get the VIP treatment for now. On foot, they're heavy but warm, and they make your feet feel protected. I don't know why, but I get a sense of confidence when I wear these. Maybe it's the extra height or just the ruggedness of the shoe, but they make me feel like I could stomp a hole in pretty much anything. Regarding the fit, they don't fit true to size, and they tend to run a little big. I usually go down half a size, but if possible, I recommend you try on a pair before you buy them. Also, they're not the most comfortable shoes, but sometimes I'll add sole inserts, and that makes them a lot easier to wear. That little extra cushioning makes a big difference when you're wearing these all day. They always look amazing out the box, but the first thing I do when I get a fresh pair is spray them down with some suede protector. It adds a little extra insurance in the rain and snow, but be warned, this spray will not protect them from scuffs, and they scuff really easily. It's tragic when it happens, and it's not an easy thing to fix, so you have to be careful if you want to keep them fresh. Anyway, almost all pairs come with a little leather tag attached to the boot. I am definitely not a leave the tags on kind of guy, but for whatever reason, when it comes to Timbs, I always leave the tag on. Nowadays, you can cop a pair for around $150 to $210 US, depending on where you buy them. And they still come in a lot of different styles and colors. You can also buy special edition pairs like the Jimmy Choo collabs for $895 or a patent leather Jimmy Choo pair for over $1,500. There's also some Supreme pairs out there, a BBC pair, a Tommy Hilfiger collab, and a Kith pair, just to name a few. But again, I have no interest in those. I'm not hating, but to me, all those versions are doing way too much, and I'm much happier with a standard pair. That said, I do remember when they did a Level 61 collab with Mobb Deep, and those are actually pretty sick. In conclusion, this video was less about one specific pair, but more about Timberlands as a whole and the impact they had on popular culture. If you're thinking of copping a pair of Timbs, I say go for it. They make quality boots, they're easy to find, they keep you warm, and they offer so many timeless silhouettes. They may dip in and out of popularity, but I believe a lot like Chuck Taylors and Air Force Ones, most Timberlands will never go out of style. That's my video on the story of Timberland and my perspective on the brand. I hope you found this informative or somewhat interesting. If you did, please click the like button, please subscribe, and click that notification bell to stay up to date on my latest videos. Also, you can check me out on TikTok and Instagram at E21Life. I'm always posting random content there. As always, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe, everyone. Peace.
Nobody's safe. Soon as we step out the cage, we raising all of the stakes. Made no mistake. Either you stay in your place or we putting you on a plate. Look at our face. We put the fear in the dirt. We had to struggle for change. Pick up the pace. We put in infinite work. That's why we stay getting paid. Y'all running late. We moving on to the next. You still been stuck in a phase. There's no debate. We draw the line in the sand. We say it straight to your face. They underrate. So we put the team on our back. We took the city to state. What it's gonna take.